Alright everyone, I thought we'd revisit January 6th in Washington DC, and we'll start with Lindsey Graham reportedly called for law enforcement to shoot January 6th rioters during the attack. Quote, "You've got guns, use them." And this is from October 31st, 2021. Now, I've been keeping an ear out, but I haven't seemed to find a response from Trump about this, because I just thought he might have a problem with it, considering this was his statement about the person who did get shot.
But the person that shot Ashley Babbitt, boom, right through the head, just boom. There was no reason for that.
Now, warning, we're going to revisit that moment just to see where she was, and as you can see, she's trying to get past these locked doors by climbing through a panel next to it. Now, we might as well backtrack to see what got to this point through other bits of footage, and here we can see someone with a American flag Q on their jumper inside the Capitol building on the second floor. And then here you have footage of people breaking a window with what looks like a shield. Now, it doesn't really look like it took much effort to get through this barricade, does it? To me, it kind of looks like the police moved the barricade. Now, I must say, this does look like a crowd that would be very difficult to manage. It looks like a very large crowd, so maybe the police had some sort of plan. Well, new Capitol Police documents show how unprepared they were for January 6 riots. A police planning memo from January 5th missed the mark, declaring there were no specific known threats. And this is from the 29th of October 2021. The day before the January 6 riot, an internal US Capitol Police document warned officers to be ready for potential attacks on police lines and the inaugural platform. But the preparation wasn't nearly enough. According to a previously unpublished internal memo reviewed by Politico, the police made plans for plainclothes officers to monitor protesters, a widespread but controversial tactic that appeared to do little to stave off the violence that day. Politico reviewed the Civil Disobedience Unit Operational Plan, a 17-page strategy document for police on the day of the Electoral College certification. It sheds new light on how Capitol Police geared up for the protesters, detailing the force's concerns about counter-protesters, which turned out to be unwarranted. And it shows that in some ways, the department was prescient, which means having or showing knowledge of events before they taken place, about the violence that would unfold, but they didn't deploy enough defenses to counter the riots. One of 5 mission objectives the document lists was to establish and maintain a fixed march route while excluding access to counter-protesters to minimize potential for violent interactions. That objective quickly dissolved as protesters overran police barricades and stormed the Capitol. Later, the document details further plans for dealing with anti-Trump protesters. Counter-protesters will be expected to attempt to gain access by entering shrubbery and other natural fixtures, it reads. The memo also said, it is anticipated that a march will likely progress into the Capitol grounds and that Washington's Metropolitan Police Department would escort the marchers. Then as the marchers neared the Capitol, USPC Civil Disobedience Unit platoon will remove the marchers and block counter-protesters from entering the march's route and destination west of the Capitol building. Well, there you have it. The police weren't very prepared, and if you've been paying attention, this doesn't really tell you anything you don't already know. And just the whole thing about counter-protesters, did they really think there was going to be counter-protesters? Why would they think that? Anyways, I probably shouldn't make this video without including
audio of former President Trump defending supporters who threatened to hang former Vice President Mike Pence.
Were you worried about him during that siege? Were you worried about his safety?
No, I thought he was well protected, and I had heard that he was in good shape. No, because I had heard he was in very good shape. But no,
you heard those chants. That was terrible. I mean, it was,
he could have. Well, the people were very angry.
They were saying, "Hang Mike
Because
Pence."
it's common sense, John. It's common sense that you're supposed to protect. How can you, if you know a vote is fraudulent, right?
Yeah.
How can you pass on a fraudulent vote to Congress?
So yeah, you heard him. He pretty much said it's common sense that they wanted to hang Vice President Mike Pence. And now there's one more thing I want to include in this video, and I'm just going to go ahead and play it.
White supremacy is the most lethal threat.
I don't know if an appropriate response is holy fucking shit, but that's what my first response was when I saw that. And then if you want to ask further questions of what the fuck was that, besides the obvious, you know, asking for further detail, what you just saw was a massive KKK march in 1925 on the 8th of August, so the 8th of the 8th, 8-8, white supremacy code for HH and Hail Hitler, in 1925 USA, DC. Now, I've never seen that before. That clip I showed you was the first time I've ever seen this footage, and where did I see it? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Because that clip I showed you, that clip is directly from this. Look, now I didn't compare January 6, 2021 with August 8, 1925. Tucker Carlson did that. And oh boy, that's really telling on yourself there. That is really telling on yourself, I think. And my final thought on all that is, I don't know how people can still say, oh, is America becoming fascist? Becoming? In a couple of years, that footage is going to be 100 years old. And finally, to wrap this up, and I guess as a bit of a palate cleanser, we should hear from a resident of DC of the day of the Capitol being stormed.
Fucking treasonous pieces of shit! I know! They really destroying our city! They're destroying the fucking city, and it's like nobody gives a shit! If that was Black Lives Matter, they got tanks rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue. But these fucking crackers take over the goddamn Capitol! That's true! What the fuck is that?
Some of those that work forces are the same